got the red. Could've had somebody else chose you instead. Yeah, lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else choose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Got up in the morning, took a shot, that's the right. Girl, you left my stomach in a knot. Took my lighter and you burned the bridge. Thought you was a writer. No, you just an idol. You got me feeling like Big Sean in this 5, 4, 3, 2. I deserve a minute. Wait a minute. Gotta get up and over. Regain my composure. No longer my lover. Finally finished and you did it. Girl, you really showed me. Think with your heart, don't think with your body. Clever. Sorry, not sorry, sorry, not Justin Timberlake, write me a river. Lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else choose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. You tried to convince me it was all in my head, and I felt like it's not you, it's me instead. And I wanted to rock with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna lead a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a... Lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else choose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else chose you instead. Yeah, lately I...
And global greetings. Welcome to another edition of DeTopiks here on Real Entertainment Network. It's another beautiful Tuesday evening here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and here in Nevis specifically where we are at this point hosting the show this evening. I want to say good evening to Oli and Layamiga, the indigenous names for St. Kitts and Nevis. If you are not familiar, we're hoping that eventually one day we may go back to having those names and only use those names to represent our dearly beloved St. Kitts and Nevis, Oli and Layamiga. I want to say good evening to the rest of the entire Eastern Caribbean. Lots going on and happening throughout the Caribbean, and our prayers are with you, and our hearts are with you at this time, wherever you are and whatever you're going through throughout the region at this time. I want to say also good morning, good evening, good night, afternoon, depending on where you may be geographically. One of those greetings may apply to you. We want to say a very special thanks to those who are logged on via our Facebook platform, our Twitch TV platform, and also especially our YouTube platform. And we want to encourage everyone listening to share. Run on over to the YouTube platform, like, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you're definitely notified every time and anytime something is happening here on Real Entertainment Network. This evening, as usual, we have my regular co-host, Shabazz Bankie King, and we have with us Azard Gumbs, and he is back on the platform farm with us this evening, and we are definitely looking forward to an engaging discussion. So we'll allow my co-host to do his introduction, and then I'll give a brief introduction of Mr. Gumbs, and then give him an opportunity to make an opening statement himself. So, good evening, everybody. Bankie, greetings. Welcome to another edition of DeTopiks.
Yahsonn, greetings to you and greetings to our guest Azard. Good evening, and also greetings to those who tune in this evening. They could have been listening to any other media house, but you choose to stick with Real Entertainment Network and the topics. So it shows that you have an interest when it comes to our guest selection and the topics that we host, and they keep you on your toes and at the front of the class. So we really appreciate your commitment to stick with the Entertainment Network. So let me thank you again as usual, or let me say thanks to those who come in and keep supporting. Remember, this show is sponsored by Shabbos Organics and Mansa's Last Stop. So this Saturday had the second annual Mansa Fun Day, which keeps celebrating my uncle who passed away 3 years now and have been worked throughout the agricultural sector as a fisherman and as a farmer, and committed and served the community overwhelmingly for years, and set the models how a farmer should function and live on his farm and have his business on his farm. We can spend more time. So with his daughters and myself, we keep in his legacy alive. So every February second Saturday, that will be where we have the Mansa Fun Day, where you come out and see how the farm is set up and be inspired and support the business and the farm and get your fresh fruits and vegetables and just to socialize. And that this also goes to all the other farmers or fisher folks in the industry who have transitioned. We should never forget. So these things are very important to keep their legacy going on. So just want to say thanks to those who are tuning in and looking forward for the reason and discussion with our guest this evening. Yahsonn?
Yes, and definitely Mansa was like a elder to me, a father to me as well. I mean, I recall many afternoons and evenings, just sometimes heading from school. Back then, it's not all the time you had a school bus, or sometimes you have to be catching lift and so on, and I might get a lift to kids, but and I would sit down there sometimes with Mansa and we just reason. As young as I was, he was always have some kind of reasoning, something uplifting, something to take you on a whole different level, make you go home and do some other research yourself, because he was well read. And so, yeah, man, I pray that his legacy continues, and I give enough respect to you and, the children, his children, to seek to continue his legacy, and continue that energy. This evening, we have with us our guest, and I nearly want to say co-host now, Bankie, because he's regular here now. I believe he might be able to soon earn that status as a co-host,
Yeah, man.
But anyway,
definitely.
We want to say welcome, and this evening we are joined by Deputy Leader of PAM and PAM candidate for St. Christopher 4, attorney at law, former Youth Parliament President, former student leader, media personality, adjunct law lecturer, Azard. Good evening. Welcome to this edition of DeTopiks, and we look forward to an engaging discussion this evening. So I'll give you the opportunity now to, give your introductory remarks, and then we get into some of what we're going to discuss this evening.
Thank you so much, Yahsonn, Bankie. I want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and by extension the region and the world, because I know that this program is broadcast on social media and it touches persons not only here in St. Kitts and Nevis but abroad. I want to say the opportunity is always mine to be here on this platform, engaging and having discussions of national interest. I want to give condolences to those families who experienced the loss of loved one recently in my constituency. And just today, I learned of the passing of another member of constituency number 4. I want to give my regards and my sympathies to the Stevens family in constituency number 4 who has lost a loved one today. I want to give my deepest sympathy to the family.
Okay, thank you. And that reminds me as well, as we're in the sympathy mode, for me to send some condolences to the Browns family over there in Camps and Nevis, the passing of stalwart former principal Franklin Brown over there in the Camps region, who was actually one of my principals at the primary school when I attended the primary school. His wife also was a teacher, and she also was one of my teachers in the very low level. I think it's kindergarten, or yeah, I think it's kindergarten. But I want to send some, blessings and condolences and strength and love to the family, the entire family, as we go through, and for anybody else who are going through, that at this time. We here on the platform want to send some condolences for you as well. Um, as we continue now, Mr. Gums, a lot of people may only
Yes,
know
son.
Mr.
We're gonna play the intro, play the music first, play the intro first,
Yes.
and come back. Technician, you ready? We play an introduction for Azard before we get into the discussion.
Time for better. Time for Azard Gumbs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. People can't take some out no more. We choosing hope, yeah, we choosing more. But Azard now makes it for better for sure. New day rising, C4 restore G4. Can't take some out no more. But Azard makes C4 better for sure. Repeat it loud from shore to shore. But Azard Gumbs bring more to fore. Rain falling, road breaking down. Potholes everywhere all over town. Broken promises, same old tune. People fed up, change coming soon. Every election the talk sound nice, but C4 paying the same high price. Community hurting, patience gone. C4 say we moving on. Hands in the air, hear the people roar. C4 united like never before. Better days knocking at the door. Everybody chanting, hey! Oh, C4 can't take some out no more. We choosing hope, yeah, we choosing more. But Azard now makes C4 better for sure. New day rising, C4 restore C4. C4 restore. Hey, C4 can't take no more broken talk. Road them mash up, still plenty walk. And not even from far, you know. But Azard Gumbs born and grow, raised in four. He know the pain from Green Acres straight through the rain. Leadership strong, vision clear. That's the reason why the people here say his name. Let it echo true from every yard, every avenue. This time we voting for something true. C4 shouting, hey! Oh, C4 can't take some out no more. Hands in the air, let the people roar. But Azard makes C4 better for sure. Better roads, better life. C4 one more. C4 can't take some out no more. Yes, Azard makes C4 better for sure. Better roads, better life. C4 one more, yeah. Yeah. Who bringing change? Azard Gumbs. Who bringing more? Azard Gumbs. Who go make C4 great for sure? Azard Gumbs. Hey. C4 restore. Hey. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Can't take some out no more. But Azard now makes it for better for sure. C4 restored. From shore to shore, from yard to yard. One voice, one choice. Vote Azard Gumbs. Makes C4 great for sure.
Very catchy, very catchy. Tempo well put together. Must say that.
Yeah, but definitely. You know, you got the beat, you got the vibe. You know, yeah, you
Yes.
know, yeah. It
Good
sounds good.
arrangement. Good arrangement.
Arrangement.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
yes. And so I guess that might be something that is going to be punching as we are, you know, stepping forward and looking forward to elections anytime. You know, it's constitutionally due in 2027. But as things are in these parts, you know, we recently saw a snap election right there in Barbados. It didn't really reach to that time. So, you know, as we continue, I'm sure you yourself would be, you know, preparing, and your party probably will be prepared for any time, should be preparing for any time now. But as we, you know, get into what we're going to do this evening, um, there's some people who may be listening this evening and have only heard about Azard as the candidate for PAM, you know, and you know would be trying to figure out, well, who is Azard, you know, beyond politics, apart from this guy who is now representing seeking to represent the People's Action Movement in Constituency 4. Who is Azard Gumbs beyond politics?
Well, I like to tell persons that I am a young man who was born and raised in constituency number 4. I grew up in Old Road, lived in Old Road. I grew up with my extended family in Old Road who showed me this love, support, and guidance necessary. I have always been involved in youth activity, especially as a young child. I've been in leadership positions. I've served as a member of the Young Leaders Program. When I was in high school at Washington Archibald High School, I served as PRO at the age of 12. So by the time at 12, I was speaking on behalf of our organization in front of the assembly and other persons who would have interacted or who we would have interacted with. No sooner than I was a part of the Young Leaders, I then got involved in the National Youth Parliament Association at the age of 14. I was among one of the youngest members at the time. I could recall persons who were older than me and still older than me, you know, Fadila Emo, Jacqueline Bryant, Azilla Clark, those individuals, Chris Freeman, and at a young age, interacting with those sort of persons would have given me the interest in, you know, using my voice as a tool to effect change. I recall debating in the National Assembly as a youth parliamentarian at the age of 16. I was on the opposition benches and we debated the legislation that would require the use of seatbelts to make seatbelts, the use of seatbelts mandatory. And I recall after that debate at the age of 16 that after that we had to go to school. And at that point in time, I wondered what was the purpose of school because I felt that I had found my calling um, representing persons, speaking on behalf of them on national issues and crafting policy. I recall that after that debate, the then parliamentarians would have used some of what we would have said in parliament during the mock debate and would have made considerations in relations to making the use of seatbelts mandatory. And as we know, the law was passed making seatbelts mandatory. So at a very young age, I got really interested in debate. I got interested in shaping policy, shaping our nation through legislation.
Yes, on your mic pause.
Yes,
Yes, on your mic.
you started, yes, I corrected it. You started seemingly pretty young, and you mentioned that you would have been deeply involved in youth parliament, you know, the youth parliamentarian aspect of our society. Um,
Yes.
what role did that play in shaping you? Do you think? Do you think that that helped in any way to shape who Azad is today?
I think it did. I think having the opportunity to engage with persons who were like-minded, persons who had an interest in nation building, really pushed me into this area. I then went on to university. Eventually, I served as president of the KFL Law Society, president of the KFL Thinkers and Nevis Students Association, and a member of the Guild of Students on the KFL campus. So I took leadership in terms of areas and organizations that I thought would have crafted a message and would have represented not only me but my colleagues and also to some extent St. Kitts and Nevis. I could recall after coming back from university, I be, I served as president of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association and would have helped to garner the talents of young people at that point in time who would have been part of the organization. I can also recall being the chairperson for the organizing committee for the regional youth parliament sitting that we had in 2017 that saw a number of young people from across the region debating in a context or in a setting that a regional setting, and so we had programs such as debates, we had national cleanup, we had so many things towards youth development that really pushed me and really piqued my interest in terms of representing persons and speaking on their behalf. And then I'm a lawyer today. I think all of those things would have shaped my desire for the legal field because politics is all about representation. Politics is all about representing those individuals, sometimes who can't represent themselves. And I think that is what law does as well. Law shapes the way in which society functions, and it also is a tool to represent persons who, again, might not be in the opportunity to represent themselves.
You spoke to leadership roles in university. What were some of the lessons learned from those experiences? What did that teach you?
Well, some of the lessons would be that, you might have your views, but there are other persons who might be a part of an organization who might have views as well. And you have to somewhat shape a mandate based on all the views that persons have. You have to be sometimes a moderator, sometimes you have to make tough decisions, and you have to do, again, what is the best interest of the organization or the people that you represent at a particular time. Sometimes that calls for tough decisions to be made. And so it gave me an opportunity to interact with persons and work as a team, because you realize sometimes you have your views on something and you have to listen to the views of others as well, because at the end of the day, you're not only representing yourself, you're representing other individuals who form part of your organization.
So
Your mic
now,
is,
yes. So you would have been, so to speak, made the announcement that you're going to run in number 4 as the candidate for number
well,
4 about 8 months
the
ago.
party announced me on June 1st, 2025 as a candidate in constituency number 4, the
Okay,
People's Action
and
Movement.
that's like about 8 months, right? No,
That's
about 8 months.
8 months ago, yes.
So, what do you say to the critics who may say, well, you would have made this announcement 8 months ago. What have you been done other than, let's say, criticizing the present minister? What can you say to those critics? That
Well, I continue to do the work. Even before I was named the candidate, I would have assisted in a number of programs and organized a number of activities in my constituency. I recall during the COVID period, I organized a football invitational whereby we had members who came from across the constituency. It was a game, a football game. I also, before that, I held legal consultation with persons within my constituency as it relates to estate planning and the like. I would have assisted the former representative of my constituency I would have organized back to school events. Just during my time as a candidate, too, I continued that. We gave out about 250 school supplies to young people within the constituency. We thought that, it's tough economic times and it's an opportunity for us to actually assist parents who, it's a tough economy right now and persons want that persons appreciate that type of assistance. And so we gave out about 250 packages with exercise books, pens, pencils, rulers, sharpeners, highlighters to a number of young people. I would have knocked on the doors of several individuals. I think my count could be up to about 200 now, engaging with members of the constituency and asking them of their views and their concerns. I also held a domino competition in the constituency, whereby different groups, different persons would have met on different days in the constituency. A sort of constituency togetherness that activity would have lent to. We also, in Christmas, we gave a number of presents to young boys and girls. We held our Christmas party in constituency number 4, and that gave a number of young boys and girls the opportunity to get a token for Christmas from the People's Action Movement. And the children really enjoyed the games for the Christmas party. The Christmas party started about 4:30 and didn't end until about 10 o'clock. The children were so excited with the games that they had on that day that it really continued until late in the evening. And so I have continued to speak on behalf of the constituents. They are in constituency number 4 without fear and without failure. The people of constituency number 4 continue to speak to me, and I continue to advocate on their behalf. Of course, there are social media presence, many presence. When you look at the pages, they are fake pages. They could be operated by anyone. I could say this, that I have no fake social media page. When I speak, I speak.
Well, your response is leading into my next question because
Yes.
my next question is basically like this: you are faced with a lot of strong social media criticism by sometimes diehard Labour supporters and or as you mentioned, maybe fake pages and other people as well who may just
Fake pages. I've looked at the pages and they don't come. Yes.
That's what you say, and even here tonight, I mean, as the program is going, I'm seeing some comments here in terms of criticizing and questioning even some of the things that you're saying. So, how do you respond to that and to those, critiques?
Well, I don't fear criticism. I think when you're in public office, criticism is a part of the game. I don't think that anybody who is desirous of seeking office and serving others would be immune to criticism. But there's a difference between misinformation and criticism. I always check when persons give misinformation, because I find that these fake media pages oftentimes would spin a narrative that sounds true, but when you look at it, it's not true. That they spin a narrative that suits their own agenda. And so there would be a number of things there. And when you look at what is being pushed by these fake pages, persons who don't associate their comments using their real names, you see that is a lot of narrative that is false, that is incorrect. And so I continue to push, because as the saying is, that you don't stone empty mango trees. And so I continue to push, I continue to speak on behalf of the people, because that is what I think true representation is. Being able to speak on behalf of individuals. And I am not afraid. I am not afraid to speak. And I will continue to speak. And no level or no amount of misinformation is going to stop me from speaking. Again, I believe those who serve public office should always be open to criticism. Criticism is necessary. But there is a difference between criticism and misinformation.
Okay, so okay, you talk about criticism and how you deal with criticism, but there is also that critique out there, accusation out there that you would have been a part, or at least been active in the People's Action Movement during their time as a sector of the Team Unity government. And there are a number of projects that were not completed under Team Unity. And some of these issues are being raised in terms of challenging you and your genuineness, so to speak, in terms of, now seeking to say, well, you are going to do this or you could do this. How do you respond to that?
Yes. So it's good to check the information and to be clear. So Team Unity got into office in 2015. I returned from school, university, as a lawyer in 2015. For 4 of those years, I worked in the civil service, in the Attorney General's chambers, and I had not been involved in party politics. It wasn't until 2019 that I took the opportunity and I went to a caucus of the People's Action Movement, and then I was elected as the Assistant General Secretary of the People's Action Movement in 2019. That was the first time I was involved in party politics. I like to say, though, that those persons who push this misinformation that I was a part of the administration from 2015 also must push equally that the candidate for the Labour Party in constituency number 4 was a supporter. He stood on the platform in 2015, Mr. Duggins, and supported the Team Unity administration. In 2017, he was earmarked as the caretaker for the PLP for constituency number 3. All of that time, I had not been in party politics, but my opponent, Samuel Duggins, was active and involved in party politics and stood as caretaker for the People's Labour Party in constituency number 3. So if they are saying that I was silent then, even though I was not a part of party politics until 2019, then they are hypocritical in not speaking
Wait, hold a second.
equally.
Hold a second. You say you were not actively involved in politics until when?
2019.
2019. Okay. I'm asking this on the backdrop of a question that I see on the platform here as well. So let's see if we could maybe debunk or demystify this comment. It says, Mr. Azard Gumbs, from 2018 to 2022, you were chairman for PAM C4, which PAM was in the coalition.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. I became chairman of the Constituency 4 group in 2020. In 2019, I was the Assistant General Secretary of the People's Action Movement. That's a general body, Assistant General Secretary. There was soon after an election in 2020. Correct? You recall that during the election of 2020, there was COVID-19 as well. You recall there was a restriction in movement. Right? As soon as those restrictions had subsided, you recall there was the back and forth when it came to the parties in the coalition around 2021. And then in 2022, there was a snap election. So when I served as chairman of constituency number 4 in 2020, I served during a period of time when there was COVID-19. We all experienced COVID-19 lockdowns. And soon after, we were preparing for another general election. So it really didn't give any time for me to do anything significant if during that time as chairman. And we have to understand, the chairman of a political party in a constituency is not the same as an elected minister. It's not the same power that is held. When you look at an MP has executive power. An MP has the power to sign contracts, to speak in cabinet and speak in parliament. A mere constituency chairman don't have that. Doesn't have that.
Well,
It is not
I
the
guess one of
same.
the I guess one of the arguments that is being made then, in our fairness, is that um, where was your voice, so to speak, when at that
When
point
what?
you might hold on, you might not have been the representative, but your party and you had a representative who would have been, I think, at some point the Minister of Public Works and all that at some point. And so the question is, well, where was your voice in terms of trying to get your minister to fix those same roads during that time?
Okay, so let's talk about the road. There were the roads in Kenya that I spoke about and I continue to speak about. The project was completed, or that housing project was placed down in 2020, the first half of 2020. Soon after, we had an election. The Labour Party assumed office. When a party assumes office, they assume the responsibility of government. And Labour needs to start acting as if they are government and not in opposition. They have the power to make change. They continue to talk about those roads in Conyers and blame the Team Unity administration. I said, and I make it clear again, that in 2022, those houses were given out. That project was completed. And about months after, Labour assumed office. Yahsonn is 4 years now. The roads aren't completed. When does Labour take responsibility and do the work?
Fair enough, and I am glad that you would have you would have gotten the opportunity to clarify those critiques, and that is what I guess. That is why I guess I asked the question, so that I guess you now could be, in that position to respond to those questions. Okay, moving on from that, you would have outlined priorities like fixing roads in Conyers and Halfway Tree and upgrading sporting facilities at Lamberts and Challengers, building affordable youth housing, creating jobs and expanding scholarships. What's your top priority for Constituency 4 in, let's say, the next first 100 days? And how will PAM fund whatever it is that you consider as your top priority if say being elected?
Well, the top priority for me would be infrastructure and jobs. I think that I can't say it any clearer. If I go and knock on doors and ask persons in my constituency, what are your concerns? Many of them say, well, Pano is the road down there, You knock on the next door and they say, well, Pano is the road down there, I can do nothing more than, if elected into office, fix those roads, because that is the will of the people. And so when you listen to them, a lot of them are disappointed that they have to live in those sort of deplorable conditions. The roads on the main roads, let's say, it's fair enough, they are okay. But when you leave the main road and you go up to like Birchall's Heights, you go up to Green Acres, you go to Halfway Tree close to Pooley Shop, you go to Conyers, the roads are in a terrible condition. You understand? And as I said before, I only became active in party politics in 2019. During 2019 period, it was COVID-19. Soon after, a snap election. I had not been in government. I had not had a seat in parliament. And so it is misleading to compare a seat in a political party to a seat in government. The two are not the same. The authority is not the same. Yes, and when you are talking about issues of your country, Nevis, do you think about those in government, or or do you think about those in a particular party? I'm sure you think about those in government to fix the issue. You don't think about those who might be a part of the party. You think about those persons who have been elected, and those persons who have been elected have the responsibility to fix it. It's been 4 years now, and the Labour Party keeps acting as though they're in opposition. When you talk about things that need to be changed, fixed, or remedied, they talk about team unity, as if team unity is still in power, even 4 years after. It's almost the 5-year mark, your son, when is Labour and those who are elected going to take responsibility and lead this country?
Fair enough. You were born and raised in number 4, assisting Lindsey Grant before. How will your personal ties ensure more responsive representation than the current MP, who also serves as sports minister?
So that question again?
So you're from the area. You're basically from
Not only from the
born,
area, I live in
born and
Constituency
raised.
4 as well.
Okay, born, raised, and living in Constituency 4. You
Correct.
assisted you assisted Mr. Grant before. How will your personal ties ensure more responsive representation than the present or current MP, who also serves as sports minister?
Well, for one, I was born and raised in Constituency 4. I still continue to live in Constituency number 4. That means that anything that affects the people of Constituency number 4 also affects me. I am not outside of my constituency. I live among the people in Constituency number 4. I have had a deep desire to serve the people of number 4 for some time. I looked at past leaders. I've heard the critiques by those persons in Constituency 4 about past leadership, whether good or bad. And it is my aim to put the people first, to serve the people at the best of my ability. Yahsonn, I mean, even being the candidate would have taken hard work and dedication and commitment. And I am not going to allow the people of number 4 to continue to suffer under the present administration. I will do what I can to advocate on their behalf. And when Pam is elected into government, where the Labour administration has failed, we will remedy and build.
Okay, and that puts that the way you ended puts me in a better position to ask my next question. What broader economic plans does Pam have for St. Kitts and Nevis to tackle cost of living issues? Join from your measured take on whether it's recent polls or information that you may be privy to.
Well, the political leader, we've had discussion with our political leader as a group, and we've actually come up with some incentives, some tax reforms that we would want to implement to reduce the burden on taxpayers and the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The political leader has not announced those as yet, but we are looking at some sort of tax reform that would lessen the burden on the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. One of the ideas that she shared was a student assistance program whereby if and when we are elected into government, that we would give students financial assistance. And in giving students financial assistance, it would help the households in which they come from. Because if students are given some sort of financial assistance, it's less burden on the mother and the father or the guardian in that house. And so we have been looking at a number of areas to lessen the burden on the average man and woman in this country.
Okay, so no, Mr. Gumbs, you are the deputy leader for the party, right? And so, hypothetically speaking, if let's say, for instance, in the next upcoming election, if let's say you win your seat and maybe your leader doesn't win it, and but your party wins, you possibly even stand a chance to becoming the leader, right, of even the prime minister of the country. And with that kind of backdrop in mind, and the fact that how our government is structured anyway, even without that, we don't vote for a prime minister, and so the prime minister is chosen by the party, and all that, right? So with that in mind, I want to be able to take you a little bit wider field in terms of not just looking at some of the issues nationally, but to get some of your perspectives on other regional and international issues that may be affecting us at this point. So, what do you see as the biggest international and regional challenges facing CARICOM right now, like trade barriers, food security, under the 25 by 25 agenda, or tensions with partners like Trinidad and Tobago? Your perspectives on some of these international and regional challenges that are being faced by CARICOM at this point?
Well, we have seen, as it relates to CARICOM, in fact, the CARICOM, the government heads are going to meet in Stakins very shortly. Some of the concerns I have seen and we've read about is, of course, our own sovereignty. That has been something that has been of concern, and we've seen how it is that in our region in recent time, as it relates to the U.S. intervention into these Caribbean countries. We've seen U.S. intervention as it relates to how we interact with other countries within the Caribbean. And so I think one of the number one areas would be foreign affairs, how we interact with larger countries, and how do we shape our national interest, still meeting a regional interest, and still being in line with international standards. How do we stand on our own? I think it's a Nevis, and we know that we don't have the comfort of a huge army. We don't have the comfort of nuclear weapons that may be a deterrent, and that there are superpowers out there. So I think one of the major areas that we would have to tackle is how do we work on diplomacy and be able to negotiate effectively to strike a balance between national interest and the international community.
I like how you definitely looked at the security issue in the sense of we don't have military and nuclear weapons and so on, especially with the way things are going right now. But how can St. Kitts and Nevis push for deeper CARICOM integration amid global trade fractures and issues like non-tariff barriers or logistic hurdles?
But I think that we'll have to come together as Caribbean leaders and to address some of these concerns. I mean, the issues that we're facing now in terms of barriers and trade barriers, as you're speaking, isn't something that we're facing just today. I mean, we remember the West Indian Federation that was back then in the 1900s. We remember when we attempted regional integration, and it was Jamaica that pulled away, then Trinidad. And, after Jamaica pulled away, we heard the famous quote, that one from 10 leaves nothing. And so true regional integration has always been one of concern, and forming partnerships between countries and leaders have always been a concern. And that would have to be something that we have to work on. As I answer your question, we have to look at it too, that governments change. So we have elections in the Caribbean, governments change, persons who might have partnered and networked with a particular leader at a time. In 5 years, that leader might not be there. And so we have to create a regional plan that supersedes those who come into office and leave office. But it has to begin with all of us. It has to be, I think the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, the people of the Caribbean, would have to really push that regional agenda, that unifying voice. Because the leaders alone won't be able to do that. It must come from the people also.
Okay. For some time, from time to time, you would have critiqued local agricultural policies. How do you think CARICOM can better support regional farmers against stagnant development?
Well, if you're talking about the Caribbean community, firstly, we'll have to look at what the agenda is. What is the current agenda? What is the current talks between Caribbean countries? And then move forward. Ideally, we'll have to come up with a plan, because there are countries who are larger than us, who can produce at a scale far exceeding us. And so there must be some coordinated effort in terms of, if we are growing certain crops, there must be a coordinated effort between all the countries and not just a few. And for me, I would think that countries that are similar in size and population would be easier to work with. So a country like Antigua might be easier to work with St. Kitts and Nevis, as opposed to a country like Jamaica. But these are things that on a CARICOM level we'll have to address. And it would have to take buy-in from the people within the country. The leaders would have to push that. There must be buy-in from each individual member state, because CARICOM on its own would just be an empty vessel if the countries don't come together and support the regional vision. And Yahsonn, there's often what we say a regional vision, and then there's the local vision, there's the national vision. And so it must be a balancing effect as to how can the regional vision push the national agenda as well. Because I could, based on circumstances and based on the past, if there is inconsistency between a regional agenda and a national agenda, well, we know which one is going to win. And so both of them must work hand in hand. And so it must come with a sense of unity among the Caribbean countries. And it must come from the people within the Caribbean countries as well, not just the leaders. The people must want it.
Okay, and as we speak about Caribbean unity, there's a lot of tension right now within the Caribbean, and a lot of it is as a result of U.S. pressure. So, we speak on regional issues, but some of our regional issues stretch and spread over into international issues. So, with U.S. pressures on Cuban medical brigades alleging forced labor, while PM Drew defends fair treatment and calls for dialogue, how would you balance ties with America and Cuba if in office?
Well, first, we'll have to get the full picture. As an attorney, it's always said that you don't speak on things that you don't have the full picture on. So every communication between the U.S. and St. Kitts in relation to that would have to be at my disposal, would have to be within my knowledge. I cannot say in this seat now that I know the communication between St. Kitts and Nevis and the US, if there's any. So based on what we've heard, of course, I'm going based on this speculation and based on what we hear from a third party standpoint, I think that there would have to be, you have to exercise the best skills in diplomacy. I think there would be some sort of give and take. And I think that, of course, we know that the US has great influence. The US is one of the most powerful countries in the world. And so when we go to the table, is to recognize the players at the table, but also recognizing who we are as a people. And so there must be some balancing effect. But to answer that question, Yasson, I will have to be abreast with what the communication is between St. Kitts and Nevis currently and the United States of America.
And one of the things I didn't hear you mention there, which is something that I find is very much lacking in our politics as it is right now, is the consultation with the people in the mix of what you just highlighted that you would possibly do. Because within that, as much as you want to know the information that is being communicated, you also want to know, test the feel of the people in terms of what they think and what they feel before you actually, come to whatever conclusion.
Yes, and that's why I said to Yafran, even when when I talk about regional, right, and a regional agenda, I said it must come from the people. I said if leaders alone speak about it, and there's no impetus from the people within the country, then it's going to fail. And that's why I said, when I spoke about regional agenda, that the regional agenda must be in line with the national agenda and must be supported by the people of the individual territory.
So, with the given President Trump's re-election and political hardline stances, what strategies you think St. Kitts and Nevis should adopt to handle U.S. pressures in Cuba or instability in Haiti without compromising sovereignty?
Well, yes, and I think that would be a position that one would have to have if they're seated in the position of the prime minister. Because remember, the prime minister, I'm not talking about prime minister in terms of the individual, but the office of the prime minister would have certain information that I do not have at this point in time. But of course, as I said before, one would have to exercise the greatest of diplomacy. And this is where diplomatic relations, this is where negotiating skills would have to come out at its forefront. Because you are coming from a country that doesn't have the sort of influence that the United States will have. And so you must lead in diplomacy. You must be able to be an expert negotiator and be realistic about what are some of the sacrifices that you might have to make.
Okay, and finally, in this segment, how might CARICOM collectively respond to U.S. foreign policy shifts affecting the region, like visa threats or embargo influences? What would be your suggestion? You sitting in that seat.
Well, as we said before, there's unity, there's strength in unity. As you've heard persons said, that the Caribbean, in order to face any threats of that magnitude, would have to take a unified approach. It will have to be something that I think would have to be discussed between Caribbean leaders as a whole, because individually, our stance might not be enough, but together we represent millions of people. When you look at millions of people in comparison to about 50,000 in St. Kitts, it's a huge difference. And so when we are dealing with those sort of issues that affect the Caribbean region, then a united front would always be better, Yasson, because we have strength, or greater strength in numbers. And so one would have to advocate as leaders among each other to come up with a united stance within the region.
Okay. I'm gonna bring you back home a little bit now. We have circled the region, we've circled the world, and now we're gonna come right back here to Nevis. What are your thoughts on the Destiny City project in St. Kitts?
I thought
Sorry,
when we
on
came
Nevis.
here,
Yasson,
we were discussing
Yasson,
constituency number 4, but I see that you have taken this discussion to
let,
international and now to Nevis.
let me take a break and then we come back at the
Yes.
top of the hour.
Okay, no problem.
Yes.
Technician, let me make sure technician is available. Okay. But in the meanwhile, you can go and ask
Okay, yeah.
Azard.
So
Oh, it's a,
I'm
yeah,
getting the
we still
technician.
go ahead.
we're still here. So I was saying, well, okay, well, it's home. We're home. We hear about this massive luxury development by Bitcoin mogul Oliver Johnson, promising jobs and tourism, but it's criticized for debt traps and land grabs and tax exemptions and foreign arbitration that could erode local control. What are your thoughts on the
Well,
project?
the People's Action Movement has given its position as it relates to the SSD. So anything that comes under the SSD and our support movement towards the SSD, we are against. We have spoken time and time again that the SSD, as it's crafted, gives administrative power to private investors. And so any project that is under the SSD, by extension, the People's Action Movement oppose it.
Okay, so technically you would not necessarily be for the Destiny project. That's not something that you would
We are not
support.
for projects that fall under the SSD.
Okay.
All right.
You ready for the break now, Banky?
Yeah, technician is available.
Okay, so yes, we'll take the break and then we'll be back with the second segment. So stick and stay with us. We'll be back in just a minute.
Come like technician not reach yet, but he's up. I guess he can. All right. Continue the reason. He gonna give me a cue. Beat the summer heat. Come and get your carambola, star fruit, make very nice drink. Come pick them yourself. All the trees them full of vitamin C, antioxidant, build up your immune system. Mine's the last stop. A whole shopping bag for only $10. Half a shopping bag you pay $5. If you get $2, you must get some. Come get your carambola. Don't want to go to wait. Let's go, people.
At Shabazz Organics, we believe real people deserve real food. So we're bringing you to Mansa's Last Stop, a farm where food barriers are removed and legacy is sustained. We believe there's power in picking, so we allow you to decide what leaves the farm and enters your kitchen organically.
When comfort, class, and reliability matter, choose the ride that delivers more. Imperial Rides Transportation Services, where every journey is treated like royalty. From airport transfers, private events, shopping trips, island tours, and executive travel, Imperial Rides moves you in style, clean, comfortable, on time, every time. Book your premium taxi or tour service today. Call or WhatsApp 869-665-8459 or email elandflavas@gmail.com. Imperial Rides Transportation Services. Your journey, our priority.
Yes. Remember to support. Remember to support June and her medical expenses. Greatly appreciate you guys continue to support in June and her family when it comes to her medical expenses and stuff like that. We appreciate those who have continued to support and giving. Remember, every little adds up. It's a community effort, and anyone, you all know how medical expenses can be. So please continue to give whatever little you have. The family greatly appreciates stuff like that.
Constituency 4. Time for better. Time for Azard Gumbs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. T4 can't take some all no more. We choosing hope, yeah, we choosing more. But Azard now makes it for better for sure. New day rising, C4 restore G4. Can't take some all no more. But Azard makes C4 better for sure. Repeat it loud from shore to shore. But Azard Gumbs bring more to fore. Rainfall in road breaking down. Potholes everywhere all over town. Broken promises, same old tune. People fed up, change coming soon. Every election the talk sound nice, but C4 paying the same high price. Community hurting, patience gone. C4 say we moving on. Hands in the air, hear the people roar. C4 united like never before. Better days knocking at the door. Everybody chanting. Oh, C4 can't take some out no more. We choosing hope, yeah, we choosing more. But Azard now makes C4 better for sure. New day rising, C4 restore C4. C4 restore. Hey, C4 can't take no more broken talk. Road them mash up, still plenty walk. And not even from far, you know. But Azard Gumbs born and grow. Raised in 4, he know the pain. From Green Acres, straight through the rain. Leadership strong, vision clear. That's the reason why the people here say his name. Let it take go true. From every yard, every avenue. This time we voting for something true. C4 shouting. Hey! Oh, C4 can't take some all no more. Hands in the air, let the people roar. But Azard makes C4 better for sure. Better roads, better life. C4 one more. C4 can't take some all no more. Get Azard makes C4 better for sure. Better roads, better life. C4 one more, yeah. Yeah. Who bringing change? Azard Gumbs. Who bringing more? Azard Gumbs. Who go make C4 great for sure? Azard Gumbs. Hey, C4 restore. Hey, yeah, can't take some all no more. But Azard now makes it for better for sure. C4 restored. From shore to shore, from yard to yard. One voice, one choice. Vote Azard Gumbs. Makes C4 great for sure.
When it comes down to agriculture, that is one of the ministries that I take very seriously. I take it seriously as a person who has dedicated himself to agricultural development even before assuming office. The last decade of my life was me being a farmer completely. That was my occupation. So again, people just talk for gain.
So let me ask you this
but
then.
we have to get down to what it actually means.
So let me ask you this then, Minister. Are you saying then to us, that less money put into agriculture? What was the budget for agriculture last year? Could you remember?
I don't remember the exact detailed figure offhand.
Okay. And what is the budget for this year? Can you remember?
It would have been About the current or the entire budget.
Yes, the entire budget.
And I could look at that, but
sorry, this was the most embarrassing part of the interview. It's like, you are the Minister of Agriculture, right? And you would have helped to put the budget together. And you are telling me that off the top of your head, you cannot remember what the budget is for your favorite ministry? You cannot remember off the top of your head what the budget is and was for your favorite ministry? He's like, let me see. Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? Oh my goodness. This is one of the most humiliating things I've seen out of summer, and he've done a lot. But this one takes the cake, yo, because the man ain't know the budget for his favorite ministry. I could rattle that off the top of my head. 33 million last year, 21 million this year. Full stop. I could rattle it off the top of my head. When I went in the studio, I gave Content and them the numbers. Because it's right there for all to see.
I am Azard Gumbs, Deputy Political Leader of the People's Action Movement and candidate for Constituency number 4 for the People's Action Movement. We are here in Conyers and we are trying to alleviate some of the pain that the people of Conyers have to bear. This road has been here for some time. This housing development has been here since 2022. And the people of Conyers have been constantly complaining about the condition of the road. It's been almost 4 years of a Labour government and no permanent fix. I have made videos time and time again as it relates to the conditions, the deplorable conditions of this road. Families are hurting. The current representative who is in government and has the resources to help the people have not chosen to do so. And so while we are here in opposition, we are using the limited resources that we have to try to ease some of the burdens of the residents here in the Conyers area. What we are trying to do is level off the road as much as possible. It's not a permanent fix because we don't have the resources. We are urging those with the resources to do it. But if Labour won't fix the situation, when Pam is elected into government, we will.
And we are back with the second segment of the topics for this evening. And you would have heard the promotional song for Azard, that jumpy, vibesy song. And then we would have seen a couple of clips just being played for us. Two utilizing the images and voices of the sitting Minister of Agriculture and representative for Constituency 4, or C4 as it is dubbed. And the last clip we saw would have been Azard Gumbs, the representative for the People's Action Movement, who is seeking to replace the present MP. I guess at this point, I would give Mr. Gumbs the opportunity to comment on some of those clips that would have been highlighted and give his take and positions on that. I see maybe Bankie might have something to add, and so I'm going to give Bankie an opportunity to add something.
Well, I just wanted you to get into some of the comments before Mr. Gumbs get into the clip. Yes. At least we get some of the comments them out of the way.
Yes, we did say that. Sorry about that. So we go to the Facebook platform. Kevin Hanley say good evening, guys. Good night, Yahsonn. Good night, Kevin. Bumped into him sometime earlier on today, and yeah, man, Kevin, as a youngster, I just want to continue to encourage you to stay positive and do your work, and do your work in school, and just continue to stay positive. We have okay, so that question I would have asked earlier from Rasheen Hopkins. So they repeated I should ask a question. They say very lame excuses. Azard Gumbs. We got Let the man talk. Minister of Tourism, to be specific. Azard, lame excuses again. Your party was in power from 2015 to 2022. Kevin Morton says, Azard, you're all fat. You have no plans for number 4. Every day you attack the present or the current representative, but you and your party don't have any serious plans for this country. And similar comments. Jetty Taylor interjected and said, "Bye, Kevin, by Labour does do no wrong for Somalia, eh?" But and then he responded, "What did I say about Labour?" A lot of similar comments. Good evening, guys. Laureate Wharton from Birmingham, UK. So a lot of fire in here for you, Mr. Gumbs. I guess eventually after the show you'll probably get a chance to go through some of them. But on the YouTube platform, we have Steve Mills saying good night, gentlemen. Good night, Nevis. Ryan Singh saying greetings, MP in waiting. John Wicker says, lies, what youth program you have been involved in? You never win a dog fight yet. You're talking like you want something. Okay, a lot of these different from the same person. So let's see if we find some other. Okay, another Tekel Selassie says, garbage, this not 60 years ago politics. Remember, we are professionals, not dunce heads. So a lot of the same people in here giving you a lot of pressure inside here. And somebody say, actually, well, where is he from? Tekla Selassie said, where is he from? Where in number 4 he from? And he said, me from number 4. And I guess they're trying to say, well, I guess they don't know you. Only agriculture could do that. Okay. and so these are some of the comments that's in the wall, and there's a lot of pressure, which is a fire under your foot, or critique for you in the space. So I guess you have a lot to defend. And we should expect that too. They usually say
more misinformation than critique.
More misinformation than critique. Okay,
Yes.
I hear that.
And
okay.
I mean, if you look at it, it's some of the same voices that you're hearing. When I make a post, it's really the same voices that you're hearing. They are staunch Labour supporters. Labour could do no wrong for them. And so if you look at it, it's basically the same individual commenting perhaps 26 times on the message that I'm bringing. But again, I will continue to speak on behalf of the people. I will continue to put people first, as it is our party's motto, to put people first. And as you have said, Yahsonn, we played the videos with the Minister of Agriculture. And what stands out to me most is that the Minister of Agriculture, who's also the representative for Parliament for Constituency number 4, continues to show that he is not aware of his own ministries and that he's not aware of his constituency by extension. This is the same minister who in one press conference said that the agricultural ministry is very important to him. This is the same minister who debated the national budget and presented the budget for agriculture to us, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And no sooner than he did that, a couple of weeks after, he's asked a question about the allocation for his ministry, his favorite ministry. And he could not answer what the allocation was last year and what it is this year. And that is very alarming. Why I say it is alarming, he sits in Parliament, he sits in Cabinet, he leads a ministry. How is he able to lead a ministry and not be aware of the monies allocated to him to finance that ministry for the year? What plans, therefore, does he have for the ministry going forward? And if you look at it, I am not surprised that he doesn't know the budget estimates that he presented to us just a few weeks ago. Because you look at his ministry and you look at the projects under him, he spoke about the greenhouses. He said that these greenhouses were to be built sometime, I think, in 2024. It is now 2026, Yahsonn, and those greenhouses aren't completed. Based on information that I hear, it's like we're paying twice. We are paying twice, it seems, for these greenhouses. You look at the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium. It is open now, but let's just look at what we've been through. The Kim Collins Athletic Stadium had been under renovation for over a year, 2 years, if I'm correct. At a point that, for the first time in history, we had to cancel the high school meet, the inter-high school championship for the first time, because this minister cannot run his ministry in an effective way to guarantee that results are being produced. And that is why I say, Yahsonn and Bankie, that when you hear a minister who is unaware of his very own ministry, you understand, it is alarming. It is alarming. It's not just that he forgot maybe the how much he paid his light bill last month, or how much he was supposed to pay his light bill this month. This is a ministry that he is running every single day. This is a ministry that I assume he goes into office every single day with workers. And if you are not aware of the monies allocated to you in that ministry, how are you going to manage it? And that is why we are seeing so much mismanagement of this country, because I am sure that he is not alone. When you look at all these other ministers traveling, I'm sure that they are not even aware of the monies allocated to them in their ministries. Look at all the failed or stalled projects. You talk about the Bankie High School. They criticize the team unity administration about the Bankie High School. 4 years now, and no construction of the Bankie High School. They talk about a housing revolution. It's now 4 years after. We have these smart homes. We talk about the smart hospital. They clear ground not once, not twice, multiple times. And I pass that ground for this site for the smart hospital every day, moving from constituency number 4 to constituency 3 and the other constituencies, and no visible construction. In fact, I believe that the grass have already grown again. And so when you look at ministers coming to present to the people and to talk about their ministries, because that interview on Island T wasn't an interview that caught him off guard. He would have, I assume, booked the interview. He came with the intention to boast about what he's doing. But when he's asked simple questions like, has your budget been cut? He cannot answer. When he asks a simple question, what was your budget last year? He cannot answer. When he asks about what the budget is this year, he cannot answer. So how can you measure progress? How can you measure progress over the years if you are not knowledgeable of the estimate? And to me, that is a disgrace. And that shows us that these persons who have been elected are not ready for office. This is not a popularity competition. When you don't run a ministry well, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis suffer. When you can't fix the housing situation, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis suffer. When the cost of living keeps climbing and there is no solution or remedy to fix it, people of St. Kitts and Nevis suffer. But you want me to tell you who's not suffering? those persons in office, like Samuel Duggan, Dr. Terence Strew, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, they're not suffering. You know why? No sooner that they assumed office, they increased their salaries, some up to 33%. Not even a year's work, but a third increase. When you look at it, they are outside the country more than they are inside the country. So I'm not surprised that he doesn't know the budget, because he's not here to run that ministry. And then when you look at agriculture, Yahsonn and Bankie, it's as though he is more concerned about marketing that he's doing something than actually doing something of substance. I'm told that seedlings were given out last year. And when those seedlings were given out, it was picture taking time for Duggins. Picture taking time. But what was the effect? A lot of those produce were spoiled because there wasn't proper storage and there wasn't a market to absorb it. But it is just giving out to say we do something. When we look at the greenhouses over there, all in one location, and I'm told it's going to be distributed to different persons. And the close proximity may cause problems because one person may be using a particular product today, which might in the close proximity affect somebody else. And so it is just a talk shop to say that they're doing something. But what is the effect of their doing? It is only hardship on us. Let's keep spending money. Look at the economy now. The economy now has gotten worse than before. Just the other day, and sorry to use the dialect because I'm getting passionate. Just the other day, I met a young lady who spoke about going to NAC, trying to get a home. And she's told that she has to be bankrupt. But what is the purpose of NAC? Not to assist persons who couldn't otherwise assist themselves. This government has shown itself uncaring and self-serving. And it is time for us, the people, to hold them accountable on election day and vote them out. Because they have not been serving the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. They have been serving themselves. And so if they want to go into private business, so be it. But in a public environment, in public office, your job is to serve the people, not yourself.
You know, I am in total agreement with you on the holding them accountable, and not just for me, it's not just holding them accountable in terms of when it's time to vote them out. It's about holding them accountable at all times. And I sometimes sit from a very interesting position because I don't take sides. I just look at issues for what it is, and like you mentioned earlier, um, it's who are in the positions that I hold accountable. So if you're in there, regardless of what party you support, you're gonna face my critique and my fire, and that's how I am.
And let me
Right?
ask you, Yahsonn, let me ask you a question. Do you hold the chairperson of Labour accountable when it comes to government offices?
No, I would be looking at the ministers who are in the position, or the ministers or the technical technocrats who are in positions, whether it's the PSs or the um, head directors or whoever are actually in the positions actively at the point. That's who I would be looking to.
Would you hold members of constituency groups of the Labour Party accountable?
Not at this point. For me, it would be that's politics. I'm looking at governance and who would be governing at the time, because at that point they would not necessarily be in a position to affect the law or to amend or change any laws. So that would be my thing. However,
Thank
the
you.
point
And
I
that
was,
is what I'm saying. When
Mhm.
those persons come to me, those fake pages, those diehard Labour supporters, and accuse me of being a part of administration and saying that I'm a constituency chair in 2020, you understand, and that I didn't do anything. It is the ministers who are elected that are accountable. It is the ministers who are elected that have the responsibility to the people. And so it is that responsibility that I am now putting myself forward for, to serve the people. And if it is that when I am successful, that the people feel as though, I'm not doing what I should, and it is time for the people to remove me then.
You see, Mr. Gums, I see your position, right? And I see where you're coming from. However, the perception and the sort of paradigm that is set up in our system, uh, people, though I tell you, from my perspective, I seek to hold the elected officials or those who are in
And that,
positions
in my
accountable.
view, is the correct
No,
move.
we're not talking correct or incorrect. What we're talking about is perception, because here, in our reality, people look at party. So, for example, right, why I'm saying this is because I wanted to kind of challenge you to some extent on the scenario that you presented in terms of the Kim Collins Stadium, because there'll be critiques from the other side saying, well, your government, and you see that, and that's what I'm saying, is the party that is going to be looked at, because it's going to be looked at that your party that you're now seeking to represent was a part of a government that was in the position to do whatever renovations or fix
But
it. But
renovations
hold
were
on, hold
done to
on,
the Kim Collins
hold,
Athletic Stadium, and
hold,
that is some of the
hold on.
misinformation that we need to correct.
I ain't finished my critique yet, because
Okay.
at the end of the day, still, here is what the critique is going to say: that yes, as a matter of fact, the regime that your party was a part of would have created so much damage, because it was used for not just only for athletics, but it was used for music festival and other activities and so on, right? That they have now created a new, so to speak, pitch, to the point now that it is actually even attracting international people to come and train and use the facilities, because I see some ads for an international company that's supposed to be coming in to train, and it is as a result of this new track that they've put on using this internationally rated. So I'm just being
Yes,
fair and
and
looking at it from the other perspective.
let's look
Yes.
at it. The Labour supporters, the diehard, and the persons who carry misinformation will make you believe that there was no renovation during the team unity time to the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium or any other stadium. That is false. If persons do their research, they would see that our Minister of Sports, Sean Richards, during his time in office, made several renovations to the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium. If you have a stadium that is in use, of course you need to renovate it. From time to time is wear and tear. You need to renovate it. So I can't understand what they're saying in terms of deplorable condition. Yes, over time things would, be in a state that needs repair. And it is for those persons with the responsibility to repair it. My criticism of the repair to the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium was that it took far longer than they said it would take. It is them who gave a timeline and did not meet it, to the point that they had to cancel the games. And when I say the games, the athletic meet in 1 year, because they
But
did not efficiently
that
utilize the time.
Azad, that game that you said they canceled the athletic meet, couldn't that game be held in Navis at the track. I know the following year before, they did host that particular game, their high school championship over in Navis. So why couldn't they didn't
I
do that
think
this year?
if we go back in memory, I think it was that they had contemplated that the track would have
Did I finish?
Yeah, I think it
Yes,
was they had
of course.
contemplated the track would have been ready. And then
Yeah,
when the
but
minister gave an interview, 'cause he answered a question, he said that there was so much rain that it caused delay. And then remember, he then said that we'll have to postpone it. But then
yeah, but why
after,
postpone and not come to Navis? That's the whole point. Why postpone?
I think at the time, the track for Nevis had been utilized for something else. Because again, I think if I'm correct, that in their estimation, the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium would have been completed. So I think that it was too late at that point in time to use the Nevis track, because I think the Nevis track had been utilized for something else. So then the minister talked about postponing.
But that would have been the high school championship? Around the same time, the Navy school would have been taking part in the same championships too, all the high school in Nevis, if it's that we're talking. So
yes,
I
what
would
I'm saying, I have to look back at the information. But I believe that one of the reasons would have been that it was being used for something, if I'm correct. I could be
it was the expense. I was the expense they're looking at.
I'm not sure. I don't remember it being.
I know the last time there was murmuring about the expense and charge and the amount of teachers and supporters and more of the schools.
And the last time before that, it would have been a short note, because then again they expected that the King Collins Athletic Stadium would have been completed, and this is it. They keep expecting, spending money, and then it's not happening. And then when it's completed, it's a song and dance. The supporters rally around them, but forgetting what we've been through to get there. I remember standing outside or inside the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium saying that this should have been done already, and that the delay is causing problems for the athletes. I remember doing a video. And so I have continued to speak on the issues as it relates to what the minister is not doing and ought to do. These are problems that we had on that Team Unity administration, even during the time of COVID.
So you highlighted that what you think you would have done differently, so to speak, if you were in that position in terms of the
plan
King
effectively.
Collins.
Yes, and the easiest thing would be to plan effectively, come up with plans A, B, and C. Look at where the project is. Look at how realistic it is to be completed, and give a fair time to make adjustments. The issue wasn't that, it wasn't so much I wasn't completed in time. The issue was that there was no plan B, no plan C, no plan at all. In fact, this Minister of Sports and in agriculture, it's as though he has no plans. And that is what, when you look at the way in which he's governing the constituency, his ministries, it's no plan, Samal. He has no plan. He's just going, he's just taking it as it goes.
Your mic is muted, Bankie.
My bad. One of the question is, what will your party do different when it comes to work with the farmers and improving the agricultural sector and allocating land? You just spoke about the greenhouse technology that they are building in the greenhouse villages. How will that approach be done differently when it comes to farmers and getting them? I'm not sure if I heard anything about training within this. Because let me say this. When it comes to greenhouse technology, it is intense farming. I was training the technology and stuff like that. And if it's one thing you can do, if you see 3 greenhouses in one place, 5, 10, it means they're owned by one individual. Where they have a proper management system, this is not planting different in outdoor field because you give 10, 15, 30 people a greenhouse within the same space, 10 feet apart from each other. From what I see them doing there, it now go work. We can't put it in a better dialect than that day. You see what I mean? It just
Bankie,
never happen because
the
each
first thing that
individual
I would do,
person. Yes,
the
go
first
ahead.
thing I would do is to listen to the farmers. That's the first thing I would do. It sounds simple, but that is the first thing I would do. I will listen to the farmers and ask them, what are your issues and what are your recommendations? Because you more than I would understand your struggle, would understand your plight. And so all it takes is a listening ear for some of these things. I have listened to farmers talk about the lack of a market, about farmers not able to get their monies from the marketing unit on time, being paid by the marketing unit on time. I have listened. I've listened to farmers saying that they need access to monies and resources to actually be successful. And
One
so,
second. 1 second, Mr. Gums. I just wanted to interject a little bit because Bankie, I think we forgot a little bit earlier to mention that if folks want to call in, that they can call in. So I saw somebody mentioning, sending me a message to ask me when are we going to open up the lines for calls for Mr. Gums. So the number to call in is 1-869-662-7196. If you want to call in to be a part of the program, call 1-869-662-7196, and that you can call on WhatsApp as well. So sorry about that. I just wanted to interject that because I realize we are already almost all the time, and I want to be able to give the callers that opportunity if they so desire. So continue with your point on agriculture. I think you're talking about the greenhouses and your approach to dealing with it, Mr. Gums.
yeah, my approach would be an all-inclusive approach, whereby I listen more than I speak. I listen to what farmers are going through, and as much as possible, try to alleviate their plight. I would come up with, well, not me. I would have all of us sit around the table and see what is the best solution to go forward. I mean, that is why I am so disappointed in the current leadership that we have in this country. I am disappointed in the current representative for constituency number 4 because it's as though that individual does not listen, that this individual doesn't take his job seriously. And this is not a joke. This is not your own personal affairs. This is public affairs. And public affairs affect everyone. And so it is one of the most serious jobs that one has. As a politician, it's not about being popular. It's about coming up with solutions. It's about sometimes answering calls 10:30 in the night by persons who have concerns. And so it is a thankless job that persons who desire to serve others have undertaken. And so if persons are not committed to the job, then the country suffers. And the people of our country suffer most.
Any other question for Mr. Gums, Bankie?
Yes. Azard,
Yes, Bankie.
young people, how would young people be get it? 'Cause right now, the economy is kind to seem to be in a kind of zigzag motion right now. what is the plan when it comes to stimulate the economy and stuff, because we realize there's a large amount of people that is on the PEP, the step, that's what I call it, over 4,000 people or something like that. That's a large number.
Well, the
And we
political
have
leader spoke
businesses,
about.
and this
The
lot of
political leader,
businesses,
yeah.
how tell
Go
is
ahead.
on top of these things. So, what is the plan to provide work, real work, and get these workers off of the system like that? Before you answer this question, let me have a call coming in. Let me take the call, and then you can go into the question. Carla, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you guys, man, and good evening to the guests.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, let me go straight at it, man. Yo, Azard, man, thanks for coming on tonight. You already know who this is. I want to give you some advice real quick. You know, I noticed that most of the critiques are coming in from a lot of the older Labour supporters. You know, my advice to you is to try to get your party to go on a drive to get the young people to register to vote. And also, you have to target the younger generation. With that said, you got to target the young people. With that said, something fundamental, I want you to mention how old you are to the general public. That way they can know that you're a youngster. Because one of the observations that I've made with the critique coming in from these stalwart Labour supporters, the older ones, is that they would even try to link you to something back when Kennedy Simmons was in power and you was not even born yet. So you have to let the general public know how old you are. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And one quick question for you before I get off. One quick question is, between the Destiny Project and Nevis and all of these policies we see the president and the administration in the United States is backing up the leaders in the Caribbean with, which one issue or issues that you would say would more put St. Kitts and Nevis sovereignty at jeopardy? The Destiny Project or any one of these issues coming down from the United States? And I'll leave it there for now. Maybe I'll come back in later. Thanks.
I appreciate it, Carla. Thank you.
I think directly affecting us would be the SSD, because the SSD is national legislation that could affect us directly. If you're linking Destiny and Destiny to the SSD, then I think that the SSD would be the one that would affect us greatly, as it is national legislation. I'm 36 years old.
Yahsonn?
Yeah, I'm here, and I am quite intrigued by the fact that out of the options chosen, the SSD would be most.
Well, he asks about all of it when it comes to sovereignty. And, you know, the SSD right now, as we've said, it is giving private developers some sort of, you know, administrative power. And we have been against that. And I think that's directly against you creating the...
Have a call coming
I think
in
that,
here.
that hits it. Yeah.
Carla, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Brother Bankie.
Yes.
Good evening, Brother Yahsonn. Good evening, my good friend, Mr. Gumbs.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
First of all, it's a pleasure to hear you. It's a hear
Thank you. Likewise.
Oh, let me hold on.
Carla, can I turn down your device, please?
Yes. Sorry about that. I was rude. Let me reiterate. Good to hear you, Brother Azard. First of all,
thank you. Likewise.
My colleague who just made his perspective. I agree with everything that he said. You are a young rising star coming up, trying to make the best out of the federation. In your view, the way you you pose yourself, the stand that you take and the rule of engagement, you are doing very well. Continue. My strength is behind you too. My support is all behind you. The thing is, yes, there are going to be challenges from older party liners. And it's like not giving the younger generation, the younger contributors willing to try for the federation, for the good moving forward. The most I can say to you, continue to be strong and turn all those negative that come to you, around you, under you, on top you, into nectar, and you will throw it down just like nothing. Let them bring it on. So don't be discouraged. You are doing very well. Hold forth, like Captain Sully said when he crashed in the Hudson River. Brace for impact. I give those good words to you.
I appreciate it, Carla.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay,
Yes.
Azard?
Yes.
Yep.
I want to say thank you so much for those encouraging words.
Yes, you continue the following questions that was asked.
Which one that was? I think I answered that.
Okay. Yahsonn? No, I was asked. I was speaking about the economy. You finished before the call
yes,
coming,
the
young people and stimulating the economy and creating jobs and so forth. What are the plans for your party?
Yes. Well, the leader would have indicated before she spoke about the STEP program. I think today there was, well, not I think, there was you had a message in relation to, revamping the STEP program. Long time, you've seen persons on the STEP program for too long. Sometimes they're in there for years at an entry level. And that would mean that they are not progressive. They're not moving on, many of them. I think what we need to do is to support small businesses more. We have to encourage young people to become owners of their own business. It's not something that's easy, but we have to start to encourage young people to become owners of their own business and to be innovative. And I think government should, as much as possible, try to assist and supplement along the way. Because yes, we have a lot of persons who are working for government, and a lot of persons find comfort in the government giving them a job. But at the end of the day, the government can only employ so many people, and so we have to start to train our young people to start to become business owners and employers. We have to start to create avenue and empowering the small business. I remember one of the manifesto promises that we had during the last election, the People's Action Movement, was I think $1 million fund, where that money would have been used to invest in business owners, persons who have plans about taking their business forward. We have to look at St. Kitts and Nevis. We have to look at how can we cater not only to St. Kitts and Nevis, but maybe in the region. We have technology, we have social media platforms where we can reach persons outside of St. Kitts and Nevis. So we really have to start to train young people as to how to take responsibility to create their own path and to become owners of their own businesses and the like. But we have to also give them the opportunity to access of resources as well.
One of the questions I want to ask also, as I'm not, was there a bill passed to make some adjustment when it comes to, like, if I have a daughter that was born in the States and she get a child, is there a bill that was passed prohibiting my grandchild being a citizen of Nevis between certain age? If it don't happen, was there some amendment made in changing that? Do you know anything about that?
I'm not aware of any amendment. I know that the Constitution provides how persons become citizens, and one of the ways in which you become a citizen is by descent. And so, if
Yes.
it is that,
Okay. Let me put it the next way. If I have a child born in the US, like, and I'm filing for her citizenship, should I pay $250 or that the Constitution I should be free?
well, those are
But
administrative costs.
apart from that, I'm still going on the same road, because it seems like because of this situation here, that was someone is challenging that kind of had to pay and realize they should not be paid. So over the years, people should not be paying for the certificate, then apply for the passport. They have been charged somehow. The government have been charging people over the years $250, which that should have been it should have by a $30 stamp, whatever it is, and that covers it because they are native rights. So because of that, it seemed like I stand to be corrected, but
No,
it seemed
I
like
hear what you're saying, Bankie.
yes, that because of that, the government went and put a bill in place where my grandchild can't claim for citizenship. And if that is wrong, that they really went over the head of everybody else again, because like too much of secretive thing has been done. So as a lawyer, do you know anything about this? You're part of anything about this? And if this is true, what are your plans if you are getting to parliament?
I'm not aware of that. And let me just say this as a blanket.
Yes.
That no legislation, no act of parliament can trump the Constitution unless the Constitution has been amended in the way in which the Constitution provides for said amendment. So no act of parliament can go against the Constitution. Also, let me say in relation to the cost, I mean, these are administrative fees. And as you say, we've been paying for passports and we are nationals. And, so these are administrative fees that are associated with the cost of processing and the like. I don't know if brought to court that would be a successful challenge, but that's something. I mean, if someone brought that's something for the court to consider, and that's something that they would have legal argument on. Whether or not that brings any success, no, in my view, maybe very unlikely. But I mean, if someone really is challenging that, then that is for the court to decide based on
if in the next upcoming election, if your party have become successful to one enough seat to be a member and to whether if it's with any other to host the government and you are being elected as maybe the deputy prime minister and stuff like that, what will be the top 100 your party have to accomplish to move the country forward in the top 100 days? Do you all have the top 3 priorities? Because for the last over a decade, we've been hearing about hospital, and I think the people are mentally tired. They're hearing about high school. Generation have gonna see this high school don't exist. We're talking about renewable energy. We're hearing about up to today here the prime minister talking about something have been whatever in place for the geothermal. Me personally hearing nothing about geothermal because this is ridiculous now. And now it seems to go back over on the Navy's part. But it seems, I mean, I understand this geothermal to confusion, it confused me because then the premier speaking about geothermal with the same gen project with the south side. So now here the prime minister talk about geothermal again with Navy's. This is all over the place. So what
again
is decision when it comes to these things?
Well, one of the most I think the economy is going to be in play when it comes to the next election. The economy is going to be one of the topics of interest, and which party they think would be best.
But it's small business a part of this part. It's small. I want to make sure it's small business a part of the economy. Because no small business not get the help they need. So it's small business good.
Yes, they will be a part of the economy. In fact, that has been one of our major focus. How do we make the lives of Kittitians and Nivisions easier? Basically, what should we implement to ease some of the burdens place on the average man and woman? How can we make living in St. Kitts and Nevis more affordable and easier? And one of the ways in which we've been discussing is how we can reform some of the taxes that we have. You understand? That is one way that we're thinking adequate, effective tax reform that would save dollars in the hands of the average man and woman. And so we've made some discussions. We're still going through it, of course, to show, speaking with persons who have, the economic background, with our plans to see what would be best suited, and if we were to change certain taxes, how would that affect the nation going forward? I mean, one of the promises that was made before by this administration, the Labour administration, is the value-added tax and the reduction of that. That is something that we have considered. That's something we have been talking about as a party in terms of if reduced, at what percentage, And so these are plans that we are going to further go into as the time progresses. We recognize that this year is 2026. 2027, we reach the 5-year mark of the elections, and we're putting our plans in place. Just the other day, we had the press conference, and the political leader talked about financial assistance to students, and that we are putting in place. And we just said one of our policies is to ensure that students are given some sort of financial support. And so we are putting plans in place to bring out what that financial support will look like. You understand? And so we're still discussing, we're still going through making sure that we present the best proposal to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Because what we don't want is do what this Labour administration has done. Is to promise everything and deliver nothing. We want to be able to, when we make these promises, we fulfill them. Because we will be no better than Labour if we make promises and they are unfulfilled. Then it would be very hard to come before the people of St. Kitts and Nevis after advocating for better, not to do better.
Okay, I have a call on the line. Caller gonna ask the question, and then when you come back, we're gonna get into the wrap-up segment. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, Azard, this is for you.
Yes.
Before, seeing that Bankie was on the legal questions here, I wanted to ask you, right? Does citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis who were born before 1983, do they have any right to file a claim to acquire a British passport?
Well, I mean, there are British laws that would govern that. I have not been in that area to properly quote you what the rules are, but there are laws that govern that. I know that there are laws that govern that on a general basis. But
laws or not, right? And those citizens have a right or not, right? Where can they find that information, and why aren't that information public to those who may be interested if they were to have the right to file and acquire a British passport if they were born before 1983? And secondly,
well, I know of individuals who are still in that process, and so if it is, I could share with you the contact of an individual who assists in that project, and perhaps you could be an advocate to share information as it relates to that to our citizens here. I could share you with the information. I know someone who deals with that specifically.
And secondly, the fair share debate between St. Kitts and Nevis continually resurfacing, right? Is there a legal action that has to be taken, or the Constitution spelled this out clearly, right? If it's spelled out clearly by the Constitution, why is there being a back and forth over this fair share for Nevis all the time? I mean,
well, Bill, I think you know the. I think you know the answer to that. If it is already set out,
I mean, does a legal action has to be taken it's just the players at any specific moment are not living up or not obeying the Constitution. And I'll leave it there, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks. All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I know Burl has been talking about this fair share for some time. If the Constitution provides how it is supposed to be adequately done, then we should all follow the Constitution, and to provide whatever share is the one that is to the two divisions and petitions at the end of the day. And I know that sometimes it's been used as a political football as well.
Azard, it's been 2 hours. We're at the top of the hour, so we'd like to give you a chance to do your wrap up and anything else you want to add that we haven't touched on that you want to put out there to the listening public and viewers and stuff like that.
Yes.
Before we get into the wrap up, I wanted to add. You could answer this within your wrap up. You being a lawyer yourself, and your party leader also is a lawyer. We spoke to the Constitution just a moment ago, and it made me consider, because you made a comment in relation to a response to Bankie, and you said something to the nothing can trump the Constitution to some extent. We had a very serious case, a constitutional case, in the case of the Sankofa case, where cannabis is concerned. Even though Sankofa would have won his case, we have seen for the past 2-3, I think that was in 2018, and we're now in 2020, and the government is still dragging their feet, so to speak, in terms of putting whatever regulations. Even some things have been gazetted, some things are not gazetted, some things still need regulations. And we look at the fact that for the SSZ, it took them less than a couple of weeks to do whatever it is they think they need to do to make this a reality. What would you do? What is your position right now in terms of your knowledge in relation to cannabis to try to help the people who are suffering right now, even before you get into politics? Because I think at this point, some legal, just how you guys seek to make some comments and want to put something forward in terms of challenging the SSZ and so on, is there some way that you guys can assist us who are struggling with what is going on with the cannabis issue, and to help to push that industry forward as one of the industries in terms of diversification in when you guys get into power?
So what you said basically, so just to answer it though, I guess what we can do therefore is to look at the case back again, look at the regulations that were to be put in place, look at what is there now, and this is why you had discussions, because the SSZ was something that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis spoke out against, and we did a whole town hall speaking about it. Based on the conversation, I know that there are persons who are also passionate about what you speak of. And so maybe what we can do is to have a conversation with that group of individuals and to lead on that and to educate on that as well. So maybe that's something that we could look at and think. So I would message you off here to see how we could get that done. As a political party, hear from your views, hear what you're proposing and how you feel about it in terms of a general position.
I mean, it's all good to hear from me still, but I mean, I put it out there on a national scale because this is a national issue. It has reached to the point where it has been gazetted, and so I guess people are expecting a party that is going to come in. What would be your plans? And I would have thought that you guys would have probably already been on the ball to try to get to the bottom of it. I know that a lot of people don't like to deal with cannabis, so I know it's kind of tough for a lot of people. But on a reality, we have to be a part of the change. The re-education, the getting people to understand that, this is not a poison anymore, it's not a drug. So just how they used to go about going into the schools and talking about the DA program and telling you how bad it is, there is now that reverse technology now needed to show that this is not as bad as how it needs to be, and this is an industry that we can tap into. I know it's at the last of our wrapping up and so on, but I just felt like
we can't keep the system done so the plant is non-poisonous. So this is what keep blowing my mind.
I think what some persons
simple, you know. If your system
some persons have concerns about, there are some persons, you hear the talk. I think what some persons have concerns about is the use of it in public spaces where you might have persons who don't wish to inhale. So I think there is on one hand, Yahsonn, you're saying that yes, you're entitled to the use of, you know, and then on the other hand, you have persons who feel that, you know, because right now how it is you're free to do it in private, you're free to do it in your home. But I think the fight that comes, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, is when it's in the public space more so.
The problem is the true problem is our society have a problem with cannabis. There was never a public ban and smoking in public with tobacco products. We got to be real about these things. The smoking ban only come about because of cannabis, and that's what we got to be real and true to ourselves when it comes to putting things, because they're not running down anybody for still tobacco smoking or cigarettes, whatever it is. This is a cannabis issue, and even though they're saying it's smoking, they're not making it a general smoking issue. You're not finding people just smoking tobacco $500. So, and these are real issues. So these are things that I mean a government that coming off the tech. But this is gonna be a next discussion because we don't exceed the time, and the technician have family responsibilities and stuff like that. And we stay here all evening, and we really don't want to keep it back for here. So we definitely gonna just give you the chance. I mean, appreciate you coming by. Very good reasoning this evening, and do your wrap up, because we're gonna continue going with this cannabis thing, and we're gonna have the premier on where he's gonna answer these questions, because he's the one who have to answer this question, and the Cannabis Authority, because all these have nothing to do within the separated from the spiritual and personal use under Jeffrey Hanley and Eric Evelyn. So this is a whole different chapter to take you into. So I give you the time to do your wrap up.
Yes, I want to say thank you to both of you. It has been a very engaging evening, and I know it's after 10 now. And so I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I do hope that, you know, that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis do make the right choice during the next election cycle. For far too long, the Labour administration has taken the people of St. Kitts and Nevis for granted. And it's time for us to remove them. It's time for us to teach them that you cannot neglect a people for 4 or 5 years and expect them to support you just because you say so.
Yahsonn?
Yeah, well, I just want to give thanks to our guest this evening, Azard Gumbs. I know you came prepared to just fully deal with C4, but at the same time, you are a promising elected official, and you, like I highlighted, you possibly could even be the next prime minister. And so we still needed to get your views and opinions on regional issues, international issues, so the people can see that you're not just thinking on a local, basis. So I want to give thanks for you to, come on out and share your views and positions and answer the questions, and you're always welcome to be back on the platform. I want to say thanks to all those who would have participated via the calls and or messaging, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch TV. Also want to make that pitch to encourage all to log into our YouTube platform, subscribe, like, click and subscribe to the platform, so that whenever we are live, that you can definitely be notified when we continue. I just want to add that in the last point that Azard made about the smoking in public, the government did go to the House and make some changes, but like Bankie pointed out, that the focus, instead of just being on cannabis alone, it should have been on all smoking items, but there is a bias in relation to just cannabis and being charged just for cannabis. I want to say thanks to all, and just remember that this is the most diverse conversations on any platform, bringing powerful voices and critical perspectives into one space. It's the topics. I want to say good evening. Thank everybody. Enough love, everybody. Real Entertainment Network, Real Entertainment Team. Enough respect.
We got the rest. Coulda had somebody else choose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. You tried to convince me it was all in my head, and I felt like it's not you, it's me instead. Hey, I wanted to rock with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna leave a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a... Lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to